So I asked a video or two ago, since I've got not a lot of subscribers, but compared to what I had a couple weeks ago, it's been like a big influx of people coming to watch my videos. Still only like 20 of y'all still. I asked what y'all wanted to see, and somebody said post up some beginner stuff. So I'll try to work a little bit of that in. It's easy when you're talking about starting to ride to fall into that hole where you want to talk about doom and gloom and all the bad things that can happen while you're out here and all the stuff you got to watch for. I feel like I do that too much already anyway, so we're going to try to avoid that and still kind of tell you a little bit about how to get started on a bike. One thing that's going to be pretty important when you're thinking about the money that's involved in getting started is you look at how much a bike's going to cost. If you're like I was, you're already going to have modifications planned out, stuff you want to do to it, and you're going to be looking at the price of that stuff. But it's pretty important that you don't overlook buying a good set of gear and how much that's going to cost, because some of it does get really expensive, and you really need to have it on whether you're a beginner rider or you're pretty experienced, because sometimes things happen that you just don't have any control over, and when that does happen, you want to be protected as well as you can afford to be. So I would say at the bare minimum, especially if you're just getting started, look at a good pair of riding pants. You can see I wear stuff that looks like blue jeans, but it's Kevlar lined from the waistline all the way down to the knee, and it's got a set of knee armor in it. It's a little bit thicker material than your average blue jeans, which will help if you ever go for a little slide. It's not as abrasion resistant as leather, but I'm just not a leather kind of guy. So this to me was the best compromise of being protected versus kind of wearing what I want to wear, looking the way I want to look. Look at a jacket that's got armor in it. You want several layers. If it ever gets hot where you live, you may want to look at textile or perforated leather. I've got this one, which is a vented textile jacket, and I've got another one for when the weather gets as hot as it's going to get in Alabama in the summertime. There's nothing but a whole bunch of layers of mesh wove together, and then it's got the armor built into it. That one is not going to do me near as much good in a slide as even this one will, and this is not nearly as good as leather. But when it's as hot as it's going to get here in the summertime, for me, it's either wear something that's going to allow a lot of airflow or just don't ride. About gear, if you're going to take the MSF class, you don't have to have anything too fancy. They ask for long pants, long sleeve shirt, and at the very least a set of full fingered gloves. Doesn't matter what kind, you can wear mechanics gloves to the class. I wouldn't wear them to ride in because they're not very protective, but you can wear them to class and they won't gripe. And a DOT approved helmet. Now, DOT approval is the bare minimum of what it takes to be legal on the street, and in my opinion, it's not a very good standard as far as crash worthiness or protecting you. Don't hold me to this because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the only thing they do to check for DOT approval is drop something heavy flat on top of the helmet from a certain height. and either it soaks up a certain amount of impact or it doesn't. Now, the DOT standard is aimed at high-speed crashes, and it is going to protect you, but it's not going to be the most protection you can get. The European standard is a lot more stringent, but it's also geared a lot more towards low and middle speed crashes. But their testing is a lot more rigorous. And you're probably not going to see an ECE sticker on the back of a helmet that's also got DOT approval on sale in the States, because DOT is the standard we use. Yeah, it may be on the box, it may be in the promotional literature for the helmet, or it may be on a sticker under the padding in the crown of the helmet. But even that is not the best standard you can get. If you find a Snell rated helmet, those things are approved to go racing in. And it's not that much more expensive to get a Snell rated helmet. This helmet here was $200, I think. And it's Snell rated everywhere up until like a 3X size helmet. And the reason that is this helmet only comes with 2 shell sizes, and they just make the cheek pads and headliner thicker for a smaller helmet. So for the shell size that goes from large to 3X, by the time you get to 3X, the padding is so thin it doesn't meet that Snell requirement anymore. But those are the better helmets safety-wise that you can get. I mean, regardless of what the shell of the helmet's made of, the cheap ones are plastic, the more expensive ones are going to be carbon fiber and Kevlar. The middle of the road is fiberglass. You save some weight with those more expensive materials, but they're not necessarily any more protective than your basic plastic helmet. And really, if you're getting into riding because you want to ride around with the camera mounted to your helmet and put a Sena in it so you can talk to your friends and listen to music and all that stuff, saving a couple of ounces buying a more expensive carbon fiber helmet for several hundred more dollars, really not doing you any favors, because you're going to stick a GoPro on. If you've got a GoPro 5 or better, you're going to have the GoPro mic adapter stuck on that you have to have. Sena comes with speakers, its own microphone, the battery pack, and the communicator itself. So, spending several $100s to save a few ounces that you're just going to add right back and then some, it's really not, it's not doing you a lot of favors financially. And especially when you're getting started, a lot of people think they want to ride, and then they start riding and figure out that the level of vigilance that's required to be safe is not fun for them to maintain, so they don't ride very long. Maybe for your first set of gear you don't spend a whole buttload of money on gear, don't get a super expensive bike, maybe hold off on your modifications for a little while until you're sure that this is going to be something you're going to be able to enjoy on a long-term basis.